you are, and people don't people don't buy or look into your content necessarily. They buy into you and your personality a lot of times.
Yeah, you've kind of nailed it on the head, dude. Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Ethan?
Yeah, I haven't gotten into the content creating side of things yet. I'm not quite ready to do that, but at some point I will. And one of the things that is holding me back, well, one of the concerns I have and I've noticed within the ATG community is the content creating can become kind of like formulaic, where it's like, oh, okay, today I'll do a video of me doing Patrick step, or tomorrow I'll do a video of me
Hmm.
doing backwards
Yeah.
walking. But it seems kind of pointless when there's already
Yeah.
30 TikToks out there of a guy doing Patrick steps. So that's like one of the hurdles I think I'm gonna have to get over. And like you guys said, it's just about thinking, how can I make this more unique to maybe catch the attention of like a specific group of people, or yeah, it's just trying to be unique. And I think like Lockie, what you're saying is spot on. Like if you just end up documenting your own lifestyle, that'll end up being unique in a way that people might be interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess like it's like doing the Patrick step is one thing, but like Ethan doing the Patrick step, and why are you doing it? Because my fucking ACL fucking ruptured and this is bullshit. I got fucking surgery. Like, and like this is what we got told, and like, oh, like suddenly now the Patrick step is like, oh, I'm fine. Wow, Ethan. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm in. Hey, here's a
totally.
fucking here's a double like.
Yeah.
So
That's true. I do get a different like sort of feedback or sensation watching other people do it, like what the ATG physio versus
yeah,
whoever else, right? It's just like it's kind of a different thing.
Yeah, and
yeah,
you got to think about also. There's thousands of videos out there of people doing squats or bench press
True.
the right
Very
way to
true.
do them, and people still watch that. And so there's not very many Patrick steps or ATG
Yeah,
split squats. That stuff is not out there right now.
totally.
it's a great perspective. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I
Well,
think
your water look cool.
yeah. This the I don't know if you've seen it, Ethan, the Nasima presentation.
Hmm.
Um that was a really good introduction to the TikTok stuff, but I think that I think as humans we overthink a lot of things too. And I've definitely noticed that this week for sure. Like just overthinking content, like, oh, what should I post next? I'm like, and then like I said, I just kind of just had this epiphany. I'm like, fuck, I should be documenting what I'm doing, what I'm reading, talking about the books I'm reading, like just stuff that like we kind of just like, it's a mentality that's, training hard on the mats. It's like, pushing the pace and all that kind of stuff. Like it's not really something that we kind of talk about. It's kind of like just what we do. But I feel sharing that might open an area of creativity for content that doesn't have to be as daunting as it kind of like seems at the moment. So I don't know,
You guys reading any good books lately?
dude. Where's my phone? Do I have my phone here? That book Devin mentioned, Breathe by James Nestor.
Oh yeah,
Dude, oh my god, fuck, you gotta listen to that book. Gotta listen to the book,
yeah,
read it, listen to it, whatever it is. But it's like, I guess like a few like main parts of it, which very, we talk about that five system, what we're sort of building
oh
off.
yeah.
One of them is the respiratory system. I think that's a really good book to um open it to it. And like the big takeaway so far is like we're breathing more than we ever have been before. One of the quotes was, "Crooked teeth is the disease of humanity right now." It's like, it's crazy, and a lot of it's actually because of our ancestors, because we used to chew a lot, right? So we used to eat a lot of raw meat and stuff like that, and now we don't do that as much. And what happens is then our mouths start to get smaller, and when our mouths get smaller, teeth start getting crooked teeth and stuff. I got a crooked tooth here. And then when the mouth gets smaller, then it affects how we breathe. So and then I can't remember. It's like we need were over breathing carbon dioxide. I can't remember exactly, but basically I said a goal that I've told my clients already. So I want you to eliminate as many breaths you can per minute, like see how many little breaths you can do. And that's something I've been applying even with training and stuff like that at the moment. But yeah, dude, that's a great book. I think it'd be a great advantage
Yeah, absolutely.
coming up to competing as well, being master breast. But yeah, that's the book. Just currently reading at the moment. What are you guys reading? Are you reading anything, or have you going through courses or anything specifically at the moment?
I've been going. I actually went down that kind of hole that you're talking about. Not in reading, but in videos. I've been watching a lot more and listening to a lot more stuff content lately in terms of the breath and Patrick McCown. He was actually on Mark Bell, and I was listening to that, and he's the guy I was talking about last week, the oxygen advantage.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about a lot of the similar things as James Nestor. It's very similar, just that we're over breathing and getting not enough carbon dioxide and getting all the carbon dioxide out. And the carbon dioxide is actually what releases the oxygen into our blood. But yeah, super interesting stuff. Other than that, I've actually been listening to the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays. It's one of the ones Paul actually mentioned on one of his videos, but it's super interesting, talking about how basically the media controls everything and kind of the elite, and it goes through all of marketing and how people's minds are ruled, and it kind of lays out how to do it in some ways. It's really interesting stuff.
And then you start to see what's happening around the world. You're like, oh my God.
It's funny. Me and my girlfriend actually watched The Matrix for the first time in a while the other day, and it all just ties in. It's all a circle.
Oh, it's fucking crazy, dude. All right, I just bought the book.
Nice.
What's up, Tim? What's going on, bro?
How's it going, guys?
And you got a haircut, bro?
Yeah, that's actually why I was late. I was just getting back from a haircut.
Damn. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm feeling better.
Man, how much better do you feel when you have a haircut? You just feel like you feel just on it.
Yeah, like it's just like you can feel the weight off your head. Like you just feel so much fresher. Like, yeah, it was getting to the point where like each morning I wake up and my head looked like a rat's nest. Like it was all over the place. So I knew it was time to get it chopped.
That's great. How has your week been, dude? How's training, like I guess from a call last week and stuff like that? Like, yeah, how's things been traveling with you?
It's probably been like 2.5 weeks at this point. Like I had like really sprained my ankle, like partially tore like my ATFL. And it was like on some stupid stuff. Like I was putting something up and I was on like a 2-step and I went to go step backwards without really looking. And I just overshot the last step and I just landed on the lateral side of that ankle and I just heard a pop right away. And so it swelled up pretty bad. Like probably this time last week when we were on the call, like it felt like my toes were going to pop off because the pressure was like so bad. So it's finally gotten to the point where like I can walk normal, and I've been starting doing like some rehab exercises. So I haven't been able to work out as much as I'd like to, but I'm at least able to the point where like I can start getting this thing all fixed up. So it's nowhere the size that it was this time last week. So that's all I can ask for. And I saw your post. It was crazy because your post, like talking about like changing your mindset for injuries, like hit home with me so much because like when it first happened, like obviously like I was all upset, like, oh, I can't train, like I'm gonna lose all my progress that I've been making.
Yeah.
And so just like changing that mindset of just like taking this as like a learning experience of, because I've never had an ankle injury like this in my life. So, I mean, it's something completely new, but I've used it more as like a learning experience, and I feel like I've gotten a lot out of it so far.
Mm. Yeah. I think with the post, it was essentially just changing the language that we describe ourselves when we're injured. Like, oh, my ankles, it's fucked. Like, no, your ankle isn't fucked. It's misstepped, whatever it is, and I'm actively working so I can be back training full time or something like just that subtle change of language.
Yeah.
It's amazing what it does to your psychology.
Yeah. I feel like it's made the biggest progress as soon as I kind of made that flip of looking at it as like a negative thing as like a positive learning experience. And I feel like, I mean, obviously I'm sure maybe it's a little bit of a placebo, but like I felt like the swelling like started to go down so much more significantly. Like, cause even like probably like 4 or 5 days ago, like I still was like walking with a limp, and I mean, now I'm able to do like one-legged stands, like some like just like some like gas pedals, like dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, like so. I mean, it's improved so much, and but yeah, it's so true. Just the way we perceive it really does have an effect on it.
Nice. Sean, Luke, welcome.
What's up, guys?
Hey, thanks, guys.
We are grateful to have you part of this journey. It's cool to see I guess the chat's growing a little bit, which is cool.
Yeah, awesome, man. Just first time here, so I'm just gonna hop on and take a listen.
Yeah, thanks,
See
bro.
what you guys are saying.
Nice. Does anyone have anything to add to the chat before I got one talking point here that I want to cover today? But does anyone want to chat anything their experiences so far this week? Any other challenges that have seen on the mats or like with their rehab or anything like that? Yeah, I just wanted to see if anyone want to have a chance to have some ideas to share.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys, if you don't mind.
Please do, bro. Please.
Man, it's a pretty simple one. My fingers from the gi, joints in my fingers are feeling really tight and arthritic, and I'm wondering, number one, if any of you guys do anything to warm up your fingers before you spar, if you use the gi, and if you don't do that, how you kind of try to get rid of the impending arthritis from the gi.
Does anyone have on that? I could definitely.
Personally, I don't. Everything I do is no gi, thankfully, and I like it that way. But I think something that would really be helpful for warming up the hands is I can't remember his name. I think it was Walters, but he has a great hand ability kind of ATG system that he came up with that really gets your forearms and your hand and wrists fired up. And I think that would be super helpful for you.
I can set up.
Kenny Walters, that's his name.
Yeah.
Kenny Walters, I have to check that out.
Yeah, I can relate, man. Like my middle finger has and still is just a little bit like kind of arthritic, like real painful. I definitely felt it was a overuse of wrist flexion too. Like when we just like we're always grabbing in the gi, so we're always gripping, but we're never extending the wrist. So like there's a overuse thing there, which has impacted like my wrist and my fingers. But I think the big point, I love to hear everyone's perspective on this, but I think blood flow, like really stretching out the fingers. Obviously tape is there, but it's not the answer. And I feel like it's a really good actually question you brought up, because we have never actually talked about fingers. And to quite frankly, I feel like it's probably one of the most common injuries as well. And if it's not an injury, it's a niggling pain. You know, those niggly pains you always freaking have. But yeah, I can definitely relate to that. But yeah, blood flow, stretching out those fingers. Like I have like a little 10-minute kind of routine that I do when I warm up. before I go on the mats. And to be honest, it's mainly stretching out the toes, the ankles, and the fingers and the wrists. And I just keep putting pressure, back and forth. And there was the upside down kettlebell presses helps too. Like really grabbing this has been really helping. And what else? A kettle, silly as that sounds, or like a pot of water, and holding it and using your hands and using your fingers to really grab onto it. I really find like that kills my middle finger. But if I keep doing that for like a Tabata set, so like 8 sets of 10, is it 10 seconds? No, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Yeah, I do rounds of that, and dude, my hands are pumped with blood.
Oh yeah, Tabata is good for everything.
Yeah, dude, it's magical. So I don't know, but it's a really, really good point that you brought up, because I feel that definitely you're not the only person that has that issue, for sure. Didn't you guys have anything to add to that with the fingers or anything like that, or any experiences with that? So I definitely feel like I will take this today and really write down actually what I actually do with the fingers, because I feel like it's definitely it could be a missing link.
Oh man, I'd love to see what you're doing. Like that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with doing more wrist extension, because I mean, yeah, like you're right. We do so much where it's flexion, but you never really work those back muscles nearly as much as those forearm muscles. So like just like I've been doing pretty much like every day, like because I'm also doing it for like I've been having a little bit of like elbow pain lately, and so I've been doing just like taking a really light dumbbell and just doing wrist extensions, and it feels like I really get a good pump in the wrist and like in that grip, and then also like at the elbow I feel like it's been helping a lot. And then also I like to do like take like two 10-pound plates or 5 kilogram plates and just do like pinch holds and really work that grip. And like I have are pretty slippery, so like I feel like I even get that grip work even more, because I used to have like similar things. Like in any grappling sport, your fingers are going to get pretty worn out just from all that grip strength, and so I think working those antagonist muscles are a really beneficial thing to do.
Also,
off you go, bro.
I was gonna add, if no one else said this, one thing I just tried doing more with the gi is just switching to kind of no gi type grips. So instead of going for like
Yeah, I did that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I just go for like a full on wrist or a claw grip.
Yep.
But it's a hard one. That's definitely something we should talk about more. It's hard to get blood flow into those extremities, So like Lockie said.
It's a good point. Do you have anything with that, Devon? Welcome, sir. Too welcome.
Thanks, gentlemen. Sorry for chiming in late. But I caught the Kenny Walters comment just as I came in, so I just threw up in the chat group the address. I believe is the link to his handability on Medium. And then just on the handability thing, I caught up with Torben 2 days ago for a call just to expand on his boxer's ability, his distal to proximal approach, and we were throwing around the conversation of weighted carries and talking about rock climbers and hand balancing practitioners, because if I think about who are the best with their hands, I think hand balancing and I think rock climbing, because just the feat that they're able to achieve. So if we take the Ben Patrick approach, then the way to reverse engineer this is you look at what those particular practitioners are doing and see where the lowest entry point is for the general populace and go from there, So, I mentioned to some of you in this group, I've been playing around with the notion that weighted carries is the flush your pain, akin to what reverse out of knee pain is. So I'm calling it flush your pain because when you carry stuff, and you know, you've talked about it on here, you just, the whole arm gets engorged with blood. It's the notion of irradiation. If you hold your hand out and you clench your fist, it goes up the whole chain. So I think simple strategies in the carrying realm, which is a low entry point for most people, like I've been playing around with the notion of getting buckets, filling them with water, which adds this different like proximal to distal and feedback both ways because of the nature of the water moving around, even if it's a half full bucket. So add to that the notion of contract, relax while carrying the weight, and also the notion of like bending the arms slightly straightening, so flexing at the elbow, slightly extending, because when you're carrying with the arms at length, you're in the efficiency of the skeletal system, so you could drive more blood flow into the whole kinetic chain if you just bend the elbows just slightly, like a 3 to 5 degree bend, and then straighten the arms, and you just notice that it becomes more of a your muscles are carrying the load rather than you being at that length. And the reason I have been exploring the notion of weighted carries being the flush your pain for so this is the shoulder ability solution, essentially, is because gravity is also acting on the shoulders and driving that scapular depression, which then, if you carry for about 7 to 10 minutes with even a moderate weight, I find my rhomboids real fast. And then if I go into like a rhomboid or external rotation specific drill, like that scapular depression in that area, which is like quite a common fault because of this, you've found that muscle group which is underdeveloped, the rhomboids. So hands, rhomboids, up, proximal to distal, distal to proximal. I think that's my contribution for today on that one.
It's great.
If I remember correctly, I think it was Torben.
Well, welcome, Luke.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, welcome, brother.
I think it was Torben that was talking about it, and I mean he's talking about how it was mainly in relation to boxing, obviously, but he was talking about really building good grip strength because that helps build like the rigid, like just keeps like that fist like as firm as possible. But he does the thing where it's like you fill, I'm sure you guys have heard of this, but you fill like a bucket with sand and you just bury your hand in there and you just go like this in the sand. And so you're working both muscles and it's a killer because I've tried it before and like your forearms will be on fire. And so I think that might also be beneficial.
That's great.
Yeah, I like that. It's a great idea. I think that's something that I could start straight away. So I'm gonna give that a try. Just grab a big bucket of rice.
Yeah, rice with sand works perfectly apparently. So
just doing that, just boom, extending and then bring it back in. Yeah, that's great, man. That's creates a little bit of resistance.
Well, the other way you can do it, and I just like, this is not quite thick enough, but I just took my hair tie out and you just
actually, yeah, hang on. I'm pretty sure there's
then you get, it could be a rubber band. It needs to be slightly thicker than this, but you get the idea, right? Okay. And you do it, you've got to do it in this position, which is that's flexion and then that's extension, right? So you're going to do it both ways. So you're going to do that way and that way, but with a thicker rubber band.
All right, I think I found a these products. Fuck, this is great question you brought up, Luke. I'm gonna send it to the chat now.
Hey, Sean, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Sorry, I had to bug out there. My wife called. The missus called.
Who
oh yeah, those.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
That's all right, bro. I was watching Darren Till get starched by Derek Brunson, so I came in late too.
My first day back to jiu-jitsu in about 2 months since finding this program because of my knee, big knee pop and a knee that already had surgery. So I was trying to rehab, figure out what to do, how to strengthen, not go back under the knife. And then found you guys, ATG, and today is my first day back. Felt pretty good.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty stoked.
Where do you live, Sean?
I'm in Tacoma, Washington, just south of Seattle,
Nice.
US of A.
Beautiful part of
Did you
the
do
world.
anything different? Did you do anything different this time around coming back? Any mindset changes or anything like that?
I mean, not really. I mean, I intended to go in there and go light, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
The more the lesser belts, or not lesser belts, but the lower belts tend to come at you, and so you just give them back the energy that they give you. And I wasn't really thinking about my knees at all, which I guess is a good thing. You know, I wasn't really concerned. It was just giving back the energy and kind of doing the things that I was doing before.
Yeah,
But when I
really
injured
think it's-
myself, I wasn't thinking about anything either. I wasn't worried, obviously. But I don't know. I'm trying to be smart. I'm not trying to do any crazy moves or anything like that. Working more like a half guard kind of thing and more pressure as far as like passing. And when I got hurt, it was an X guard. So I'll probably avoid a single leg X guard. Sorry. And he tried to just explode, smash through my single leg. So I'll probably avoid that. And I'm working more of a half guard game. And as far as passing, more of a pressure pass. So it's a slower, more methodical game. I'm 51, so I don't need to be doing anything crazy anyway. But anyway, yeah, that's how it happened. That's where it's at, and we'll see. See how it goes.
Yeah, I also hurt my my MCL in a takedown a couple of months ago, 3 months ago or so. And one of the things I found pretty interesting to come back is to when we spar, just focus on positional sparring.
Yeah.
And then it kind of takes away a lot of the risk for explosion and re-injury for that knee.
I just found out 2 weeks ago, I believe the words used, your ACL is gone. So not a tear, it's non-existent. So I've committed to a 9-month journey of not having surgery to see what I can achieve, because I'm already hitting 1/5, I had 6 reps on a strict RDL the other day at over 140 kilos. You know, like my hamstrings are strong, the range is coming back, so I'm on a journey. And I've paired up with a guy here that knows his shit. So what I'm playing around with at the moment, and this is quite an interesting thing, is disinhibitory technique to turn down the calf and hamstring tone and then re-engage the quad and essentially the VMO. So there's science to back this up too, and I'm going to get on my hands on that document. So in basic terms, it was conveyed to me that when you have a major injury like that, what happens is your calf and hamstrings tone turns up because it's trying to compensate, and then you want to switch that off so that your quad can perform its function, right? So what I've been doing is 20 minutes of icing, just the knee joint. So not full submission, just the knee joint. And then going into like, imagine I've got something underneath, like a towel or something rolled up, and then I go contraction and squeeze the VMO, 10, 9, and then off. So 10 sets of 10-second squeeze, 3 sets of that, and it's just all of a sudden like the tones come down. That insertion point calf pain I was getting settled in 3 days, the hamstrings eased off a little bit, and my quads have just like I can engage my teardrop. And there's another interesting phenomenon that he mentioned, which I'm really intrigued by, is that they've now seen on MRI where people have had a rupture. After enough time, your body can form a scarification in the joint that acts like a functional ACL. And that happens about 5 to 6 months, they reckon. So I'm intrigued by that process. So here in New Zealand, the way it works is that when you apply for funding for surgery, you get up to a year to elect to have the surgery. Hence why I've given myself the 9-month time frame to really push it and be my own guinea pig. And then if at that point I think I don't need surgery, I'm not going to go the surgery route. But if at that point I think the predictability of surgery outweighs where I'm at, then I'm going to go the surgery route. So that's the journey I'm on with the knee, and then this accompanying journey with the shoulder. So yeah, and we're tracking it now. He's putting me on the Biodex machine, which is like a leg extension machine that measures like not just the load, but the speed at which you twitch in that. It can do double leg, single leg. So we're going to track, like I'm collecting data on the whole process. I'm going all in to this. So yeah.
I think that's it's going to be really powerful stuff, because this is not not the only person that definitely has ACL ruptures or no ACLs. The amount of the amount of people that I know that don't have an ACL, but they think that that's it for them. They think that's like, this is the way my body is. But yeah, I'm really inquisitive to see what happens when you have consistent blood flow over the next 9 months, and doing the right training and all that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be, yeah, I feel like there's definitely hope there. It's not just surgery is the only answer, which we've obviously we've all discovered that with the HED stuff.
I think Dylan is the guy I'm working with. I actually just thought of it then. He's just he's a dude, and I'm sure he would be open to jumping in on one of our calls in the coming weeks. So I might extend that offer to him and see if he wants to jump in here, because so he just had ACL surgery 2 months ago to tidy up a fuck up from 8 years ago. So he, like his investment in it is greater because of the own process he's going through. So I think hearing from him or getting him to contribute could be an interesting part of this process too. So I'll make that happen.
Just going back to just for anyone missed at the start of the conversation, where we were sort of talking about batching content, like when we're looking to grow our social medias and all that kind of stuff, and we sort of bring up the idea that filming content's like, fuck, like what are I gonna film, and all that kind of stuff. But we honed down is documenting the process, or documenting your own story, versus then trying to create content. And I guess this kind of funnels straight back to it, is really creating that content, documenting the process. Like Devin documenting his process. This is my story right now. I found I don't have an ACL, but I'm going to test this and see what happens, and literally just documenting that process, as you obviously collecting data and stuff like that, which obviously we've used for later research. But I think even for social media purposes as well, it's a beautiful opportunity to really share that story. I feel like that's like, I think we could all even what Luke's saying, what I mean, like with the fingers, or Sean said, with the knee and stuff. It's like really talking about that story and really documenting that journey to what the ideal goal is, and sort of just document that process.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot, because it also, like, it just helps like connect people. I think the reason like a lot of people gravitate towards Ben is because he's gone through this shit like at the worst extremes, like because a lot of times like injuries like you know like it can feel pretty lonely, like oh, people don't understand this, like and a lot of it is the mindset, like what you were talking about, Lockie, but like it is like it can be lonely at times, especially for people who like their identity relies on being like an active individual. Like that was like for me, like that was the biggest change. Like I'm used to getting up, like getting my workout in and it like setting the tone for the day. And for that like week and a half where I couldn't work out at all, or at least like leg stuff, like I kind of got out of my like rut once I like just like forced myself, like, you know what, if I can't do leg stuff, you know what, I'll do some upper body stuff. But just like documenting that process, I think that's also gonna like just connect individuals a lot more, because it shows like, oh, this guy's going through what I went through, like oh, like how did he go about it, like, and I just think that will like help a lot of people.
Yeah, I know me personally, I would love to watch Devin's journey going from having the injury to complete rehab or rehab as far as he can get. And I don't even have an ACL injury. I'm sure someone with that injury would be 1,000 times more interested in seeing something like that.
Great. Devin, do you want to, I guess, from our conversations and stuff like that this week, how have you been finding, I'm about to do it today as well, I'm going to do another session on this, but how have you been finding the shoulder or upper body zero program ideas and stuff like that to stimulate blood flow? Like I think that's the big key with a lot of these injuries and stuff. And it's funny that we've been talking about, you know, blood flow, how important blood flow is, and I've been really trying to push that with my clients this week, and I noticed a very big change in their training, the way they feel the muscles and everything. That I've been trying to like I took them through the lower body zero program, and I noticed a really massive change, and actually feeling the muscles, feeling actually the VMO fire up, you know, slowing down the concentric phase, you know, like a 5 second, you know, let's say the split squat control on the way down, pausing at the bottom for 2-3 seconds, and then come back out. So I guess that's kind of the stuff I've been playing with the lower body. But how have you been finding with the lower upper body, with the carries, you know, with the tricep extensions, getting blood flow into the elbows and stuff like that? Yeah, how have you been finding that?
All right. So first things first, I'm just gonna give a shout out to my fiance back here putting in work, man. She out here hitting those lives, lockdown lives, putting in work. She's killing that.
Hustling.
You know what? I think what I'm benefiting from is like being excited about the process, but not rushing the process. Where, you know, and I'm going to put that out there at the outset. Whereas in the past, I would have like can be a bit like manic and go, whoa! But and so, you know, I took the time to listen to Ben's presentation again, and you know, and it was nothing new to me in the sense that like everything has a place, right? And so at the outset, one thing I need to acknowledge is that I can be a perfectionist and a paralysis by analysis. And so I think the thing that I want to say at the outset is Ben's program is in constant evolution, and this I'm gonna call it shoulder ability. This shoulder ability exploration is going to be a constant evolution. Now that means that we can put something together right now that is backed and has a place, and then improve it. So, and you know, and I like what Ben says about like it needs the accessibility of his solution as one of the real keys to his solution. So the approach I've taken, and the reason I'm saying shoulder ability, is because Ben gone with the knee, knowing that fixing the knee is going to fix the things up chain, and his ground up approach fixes the ankle stuff too, right? So I think we can agree that the shoulder issues is the one that is the greater challenge to tackle, rather than like the tennis and golfer's elbow issue. And if you, for a lot of those that experience elbow pain, if you fix the shoulder pain, you know, there's going to be a relationship there. So the shoulder is a lot more challenging than the knee, because the knee flexes and extends, and the shoulder is this 360-degree articulating joint. But keeping in mind what I just said about like just getting people started. So I think off the bat, like step one is carries. So you've got the farmer's carry with whatever implement you have available to you. I tested it with like recycling reusable shopping bags with like weights I'd thrown in. It was just 5 kgs. I was like, man, you could put like bags of rice, like you could make up that weight, you know? And the only other tool I've been using, the other 2 tools I've been using is resistance strength bands or power bands, because they're quite cheap to buy, and rings, because rings is in the zero system. So I figured that's, you know, anything that is in New Zealand dollars, it would be like under 200. Like if you're not willing to spend $200 on a basic setup, then I don't think you're taking your rehab seriously. So put those parameters in, right? Buckets, you can get buckets cheap and fill them up with sand or water, you know. You need a couple of strengths of resistance bands, and a set of rings will go a long way. So I think, you know, the approach I've taken is, I think you do the carries first, and then I think the second layer is to set the shoulder blades in line with what I said earlier. So it's to go into some rhomboid or external rotation. So I've been playing around with like mini band, like high volume, which I noticed that when I'm in that supinated grip, I get like a massive pump in the forearms and stuff as well. I've been playing around with supinated grip pull aparts, which is slightly longer range. I've been playing around with the shoulder ability big 3, which is the Andrew Locke thing, which you don't even need weight. So just playing around with those. And then I think and then if you've got an elbow issue, you probably wouldn't go to the shoulders second. You'd go to the wrist flexion and extension first, and then go into some bicep flexion and extension. So I've been playing around with like banded curls, looping the band over, doing tricep push downs, just to again elicit that blood flow, which is why I'm calling it flush. Now, the formula is nowhere near complete, but there's something there that, like, so let's just go with a day 1 session that I played around with. I did 10 minutes of forward and reverse farmer's walks with 12 kg each hand, right? And that got a massive pump in the forearms. It also had me doing reverse out of knee pain because I walked backwards. Then I looped the bands, and I put my wrists on my forearms. I did banded flexion, I did banded extension, 3 sets of 10 to 20 reps alternating. Like by the 3rd set, I was like at the 10 and I was like dying. So, then I went into standing bicep curl. Now I think the thought I've had since is, because I went wrist flexion and wrist extension, I should have probably done the neutral grip hammers and then triceps this way, because then it would have given me a different wrist line, similar to how Ben in his presentation is talking about how like there's 3 different movements, there's 3 different foot positions, there's 3 different loadings, right? So put the loading aside right now, because we're talking about the lower end of the spectrum. You've got this pathway, you've got this pathway, and then you've got the pronation supination pathway at the wrist, which also goes up the chain. So day 1 carries wrist flexion, wrist extension, flexion extension. Then I think I would change it to hammer curls and tricep extensions with the band. And then on that day, I actually did isometric holds on the ring rows, and then paired it with some banded pull aparts. including the 10 minutes of carries. That was a 30-minute session. And I like had this dull ache in the middle of my back. Like all of a sudden I found my rhomboids, like someone had punched me there and my rhomboids were like, hey. So, I'm in a sense applying the same formula. I think a day 2 early on would be to like introduce the Kirsch protocol and get your arms overhead. If you don't have this book, get this book. Now, interestingly, this is where it will give you. What's that?
What's the title of that?
It's called Shoulder Pain, the Solution and Prevention. It's from the guy, Dr. Kirsch, who is the orthopedic surgeon in America who stopped performing shoulder operations on a number of his patients. Now, I'm just going to read directly from the book, and I know I'm taking over like this, dragging out, but this, I think this is of value to you all. So I'm going to read directly from the book. This is the Cow-Eye study. So in March 2012, he presented the first academic study of his research. So at this point, he's 35 years of practice with MRI imaging, which I'll show you as well. So the study included 92 subjects. Many of these subjects had been suffering with shoulder pain for years and tried other methods of treatment. So 70 of them had what is known as subacromial impingement syndrome. I'll give you an understanding of that with visual imagery shortly. 16 of them had rotator cuff tears with MRI diagnosis. 4 of them had what is commonly referred to as frozen shoulder, and 2 of them had osteoarthritis of the glenohumeral joint. Now, of the 92 subjects, 90 of them were returned to comfortable activities of daily living and remained so after variable years of follow-up, 1 to 28 years. 2 of the subjects with shoulder pain had been scheduled to have shoulder replacement surgery and cancelled those surgeries, and 2 of the subjects had to quit the study for personal reasons. Okay. And then one woman, a 70-year-old woman, deserves special mention. So she had osteoarthritis of the glenohumeral joint, severe subacromial impingement syndrome, and weakness of the rotator cuff tendons and muscles. She began hanging, and there's 3 weightlifting exercises. I'll come back to that. She cancelled her shoulder replacement surgery, and 1 year later was completely pain-free and returned to cross-country skiing. She observed, little things mean a lot, but not having surgery is a big thing. The fact that this patient responded to the hanging exercise in spite of the presence of osteoarthritis presents a new challenge for those surgeons who perform shoulder replacement surgery. The shoulder is not a weight-bearing joint as is the hip. For the hip, there is really no other option than joint replacement, but in the case of the shoulder, a person using gravity by hanging can reverse the effects of gravity and relieve their shoulder pain. Not all patients with osteoarthritis of the shoulders have pain from the arthritis, but suffer from subacromial impingement syndrome or rotator cuff disease. So it's the authors hope that in time, physicians and therapists who treat shoulder pain, such as subacromial impingement, rotator cuff tears, and frozen shoulder, and osteoarthritis, will prescribe a hanging approach in conjunction with 3 weightlifting exercises rather than going straight to shoulder surgery. I see some similarities here between him and the work that Ben is doing. Now, just so you understand what the subacromial impingement syndrome and the acromial humeral joint is, through imaging, the author Kirsch basically identified that there is another joint in the shoulder. So you see the gap there? Okay, so that's in a healthy shoulder. So what happens in a shoulder that's not so good is the gap closes. So a shoulder that's been sitting at a desk, been in that rounded position, if you don't use it, you lose it. Cliches like this exist for a reason. The gap closes, but with progressive hanging, it all of a sudden reopens, which is why I like the notion of the carries in conjunction with the progressive hanging, because carries gravity is free, hanging gravity is free. I have a client right now that I've been working with. Actually, all of my clients do some form of shoulder. And if they can't do like bear their weight, it's just assisted, like feet on the ground, sink into the shoulder. So this woman was told she has frozen shoulder, needed surgery on both her shoulders, and that she's basically canceling surgery. She hanging, she found a spot in the wardrobe where she could put her arms up and sink into the shelf of the wardrobe. So I think, so where I'm going with this is I was thinking that day 2 of the exploration is going to be like a suitcase carry, so just carrying on one side, which I know is great for the QL as well, the trunk lateral flexion, and then I would do another shoulder drill yet to be determined, and then go into like assisted hanging, so I'm getting that plane of movement in there nice and early. The wrist flexion or a different wrist movement as necessary, or might be rows to the range. Just playing. I think the vertical plane has to be in there earlier. Is what I'm saying, and it might even be the old like hands on the bench, then the head sink. So, yeah. To answer your question, Lockie, like lots of thoughts, but all relevant thoughts, and in alignment with what Ben was saying. I think because the shoulder joint's a bit more complicated, and Ben's bringing it back, tying it in. Ben's knee ability 0 was just one program done 3 days a week. I think you have a template that is simple to follow, but changes slightly on the 3 days of the week. Yeah, that's where my thinking is at right now. When I run Torben in Denmark, I proposed the idea of weights and carries. He just was like it was like his eyes lit up. It was like, oh, we got a little challenge going on now. Like, let's explore. So he's excited. He's on board too. That's where this flush your shoulder pain journey is at right.
Yeah, we're on to something.
Yeah, the 7-minute challenge was what Ido Portal proposed. It's a great blog. If you look at Ido Portal hanging, he's got a great article. And interestingly, he mentions Dr. Kirsch, those images, he puts them in the blog article. So what's happening here is that the same thing that Ben's on. We're taking a little bit from Dan John, the athleticism that's developed from carries, the gait pattern, you can't carry heavy stuff for poor posture. The distal proximal that happens by putting weight in your hands, the blood flow, like all similar things. Then we're taking, all right, on one day we're taking the hanging thing for Kirsch and Ido, cool. And then on this other day we might be taking from the rock climbers and the hand balances and then also just the S and no, the 7 minutes is not unbroken. It's accumulated over the course of the day, Luke. So it'll be like 30 seconds before breakfast, 30 seconds after breakfast. Yeah, you just add it up. It was a 30-day challenge, just like how Kelly Starrett did the hold the bottom of the squat for 10 minutes sort of challenge.
Yeah, 10-minute squat challenge. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
There's that article there.
So going back to my initial statement, I think the thing is and take the idea and let's apply something and come back. And take the idea and let's apply something and come back. So I'm saying carries are number 1. I think the 3 versions of carries are farmer's walk. The suitcase carry is number 2, so one-sided. And then the other one, if you can get the athlete in there early, is the bottoms up carry. If they have a kettlebell, right? Or something like that. Because of the irradiation that really happens there. It's different. But that's a if, or that instead of the bottoms up, that might be the day that they do hanging instead of the carry, because the hang is your grip challenge, your shoulder. Like you hang on a bar for 60 seconds and see what happens to the blood flow in that area. Yeah.
Those are great ideas.
Different grip positions. Okay, that brings me to awesome Instagram post that I saw from Ashley Gas. Something I've been playing with too, like because I don't have a bar at home, so I've been hanging on a beam. The different grip positions is like use buckets instead of kettlebells. Use shopping bags instead of kettlebells. Pick up some timber, pinch the plates. You know, like it's the idea is carry something, but implement should be variable. And the grip position thing ties in with the wrist thing of like flexion, extension, ulnar and radial, and then supination, pronation. Like yes, you need to work them all. You know, and then at the same breath, remember that the rule of like strength radiates 15 degrees. So we're not doing ankle rotations in the knee ability system, but the ankle can rotate, you know. So again, like all valid questions. I think like I said in the presentation, we're not solving this journey, but we can improve the challenges of someone with pain in the shoulder by at least putting something out there that they can start with, you know. Like I was thinking, Ethan, for you with your coach that can't straighten his elbow and that thing that I've been told to do with the disinhibitory technique, maybe he needs to apply ice directly to the elbow for 20 minutes and then floss the wrist or something and see if that'll turn down the tone of muscles that are overworking and engage muscles that are working and like start to open up that range a little bit. I mean, we're just key thing here is taking some action. Just and the limiting factor actually is that like I have to go slow because I can't do this day to day. Like to do justice to the research, I got to do the upper body, the different protocol every other day. You know, like I could really like overtrain my body if I play around with like this. Yeah, I see the mind ticking over there, Luke. Chime in.
Oh, just taking a listen, man. You know, I went through a stage where I did 30 minutes of hanging a day, 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off for a couple of months. And it was pretty interesting what happened, man. I mean, for lifting, front rack position improved. You know, I had a buddy that was doing it, overhead position improved. I had a buddy that was doing it with me. He never climbed ropes before, and he could do a rope, an unassisted rope climb, like a rope climb with just his hands. And he did a muscle up, like a strict muscle up in the rings as well. Never done any of this before, but just all kind of strength related from hanging.
The other thought I just had was like, you got a lot of like yogis that have great shoulder range, but they have experienced shoulder issues, right? Because there's no pulling in that system, so they're pushing themselves into opening up the shoulder range. So that, and then the other thought I had is like kids are on the like, man, if they get rid of the old school playgrounds with monkey bars and that, we're really doing a disservice to the kids. Like we're just fast tracking the shoulder pain because it's like, okay, no longer do you swing on monkey bars, but you're gonna spend heaps of time on an iPad. So watch your subacromial joint like close down by the time you're 12. So you want a motivation for like why we should be doing this, and it's the same motivation that Ben has. It's like we're doing a disservice to our kids if we don't start like really putting like time and energy into a body of research or a systemization of this, because like these kids, like I feel sorry for the kids that I'm gonna have like it's gonna be a challenge because this world is we're making some challenges for them.
Ethan, were you able to try anything for your coach for his elbow?
Yeah, I got him doing some of the simple things that Devin suggested. Basically, just trying to get the forearm pumped up. I mean, I wanted to keep it as simple as I could because I was worried that if I try to explain too much, it would just like push them away. But I think I got a good message across, so that was helpful. And then interestingly, I woke up a few days later after Devin and I had that conversation, and I had some tricep pain here in this area. And I took the same approach of what I told my coach to do, and it really helped a lot. So I think Devin's onto something killer there. Yeah.
That pumping up the tricep has been really helping me out. I've done it 3 times this week, I think, and just that alone, just getting all that blood flow, it has helped my elbow pain tremendously from arm bars. It's helped that a lot. And I've also been doing hangs and scapular scap pulls and stuff like that, and lots of external rotation. And so I'm sure all of that plays a part too. But yeah, all of that feels really good, and I love everything that we're talking about. It makes me want to jump on the bar right now and start hanging.
I think the key thing for you right now, Nick, in simple terms, is think of, if you stop for a moment and analyze what you're doing a shit ton of volume of in training, like grabbing, pulling, become the best in the off mat stuff and all of the other things. That's what, like Ben says as well. Like, you should be the best in the weight polarity, like the opposite to what you're getting volume of on the sport or on the court. And that's a concept, like I keep driving home here. If you are spending heaps of time in like slightly flexed positions, or like holding and maintaining positions, or that bicep flexion, then it makes sense that doing like some high, like low weight but high volume tricep extension is going to work. And then the other thing is like that range is getting strong, the mid range is getting strong, so you're going to be weakest at the length of the range, which is the value of the hanging, because the armbar, like we're weakest at the length. It's I think it was flexibility maestro today was talking about if you get strong at the end of that range. I'll find it soon. But yeah, it was basically get a little bit stronger in the position where you're weakest, which is at the opposite end of where you're strong. So, and then you're going to have the strength through length. So.
Yeah, I think if we just guided our training based on that alone, doing the opposite of what you do most of the time, I think that would, like you're saying, help tremendously for everybody.
Totally, that's huge.
Yeah, that link, Ethan, is the Smith curl. It's the I just quickly look at it. It's 3 different ways, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's the same. Like you don't need a lot of load to go through that. But I think for Nick right now, it's like do more tricep extension, because she's doing so much anterior stuff. So like do more. He touched on the lat activates. Do more rhomboid activation, do more tricep extension, do Sorensen holds, like back extensions, isometrics, do the QLs on there, throw in the carries, because position maintaining isometrics, like, because keep in mind, like the farmer's walk is anti-flexion and anti-extension, whereas the one-sided carry is anti-lateral flexion. So if you stiffen up the board, then the ability to exert force from the board should be stronger too. So it's just like lots and lots of what you're not getting on the mat, especially as the sparring time goes up and that. And because a lot of like what we do on grappling is isometric holds, right? So maybe do some isometric holds in extension positions, like push-up plank holds, or like side planks, really pushing in through that lever, just driving that extension. Because that's the other thing too, like the intention. Are you just doing it, or are you intentionally doing it? Are you driving mind muscle connection?
think we're all about to go hang from a bar after this. Sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was like, I had plans to do some stuff after this call, but I'm like, I guess it's going to the gym now. It's been a great conversation, guys. I think every week Kit's getting better. Every week Kit's getting better. You know what I mean? And like every week's a little bit different. As different conversations we have. Start last week, like it was kind of more about, I guess, was more about being, growing as a person, being the black, being that this idea of the black belt and black belt off the mat. And like, today it's really about, I guess, real constructive ideas and concepts and just really actually what Devin said, we're not here to fix all the problems. We're just trying to make the solutions better. Like, because if we make it fixed, then we'll close off and think that is the end all. This is the system. This is going to fix everything. But in reality, it's just going to provide solutions better, and we can always make these things better, and it will continue to grow. That's cool, guys. Like, does anyone else want to add anything to the call today? Is any questions or anything like that? Like, yeah, just want to see if there's anything else we can add to this call today.
I'll just talk about, I think I've been sitting a little more than usual. And so I've been having some kind of hip impingement pain that I've dealt with a little bit in the past. And thinking about what I'm going to start doing in the future is basically the opposite of what that is. So I often sit with my legs crossed in, Indian style, whatever you want to call it. And so I plan to get into a lot more internal hip rotation and legs extended type moves, just sitting in those positions. And then really working that the hip flexors a little bit and stretching out the hip flexors in those long range ATG positions.
Got me sitting down now.
That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, my man. What's that?
I was gonna ask Tim or Luke, do you guys have social media we can follow by chance? Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
I tried to find the other day, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah, if I could try to follow everybody else as well,
Yeah.
I'd like to.
What's your last name, Luke?
Ciara.
You want to put it in the chat?
What belt is everybody?
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
I'm a purple.
Nice.
Nice. Oh yeah. I'm a blue belt.
Nice. Man, jiu-jitsu is just evolving so quickly. It's insane.
It really is.
Pretty exciting time to do jiu-jitsu.
A very innovative time in the sport.
Yeah.
Let's get you up. Who's it? It's a coach.
Yeah, I love your Insta page, Luke. So
Yeah, thanks, man. I haven't posted much lately, but I gotta start working on that again.
mate, that one 16th of March, freaking looking shredded. Man, it's coming. Whee! Yeah, I'm a white belt team. I'm coming back in after 10 years away. So
Wow. That's awesome, man.
I had 8 years away as well, and it just started back up last year.
yeah, I mean I was thinking about this recently, like at the time, because I did like 4 years on and off, and probably if I'd been consistent, I would have got that blue. But and then you have that thought of like, if you'd stayed in the game, where would you be? But
Yeah.
I think I said it in here, like I feel far better coming in now, having gone and done, as I've seen you've done, the CrossFit thing, and then gone and done, this S&C thing, and you just come back in with a broader toolbox, that I think in a different mindset, you can be a stronger BJJ athlete than if I'd stayed in, then I might have fallen into what NSEMA said, BJJ athletes are weak, they need to spend 30 minutes in the gym.
Yeah. Yes.
Good, guys.
The one thing I was going to say is it's awesome to see Tim here again, and Luke, awesome to see you here, and it was awesome to see Sean pop in from so my closing comment is like, let it grow, build it, and they will come.
Yeah, love it, man.
Yeah, I mean, your whole talk on like just all the stuff you're working on now has me thinking, because recently I just got a gig working with a local high school wrestling team. And so
Nice.
I'm just thinking about like what I want them to do for like warm-ups now. And I'm not too sure with how the school is with COVID in terms of like if they'll allow like after school like strength and conditioning, but I mean, you have me thinking all over the place now with a lot of this like grip work and shoulder stuff, because I mean that's also like a huge issue with wrestling too, is just like shoulder injuries. And I'm sure a lot of that, yeah, exactly. It's just the entire time you're hunched over. And I mean, you see you'll see a lot of the college guys, the best guys, they just have their shoulders are rolled forward. So yeah, you have me thinking about what I want these kids to start doing just to help them with that.
Got a basic suggestion for you. It's on the back of, like, I'm playing catch up in the ATG Pulse group. I see that Ben addressed Nick directly in terms of the overweight client. It actually ties into the hot seat call on Tuesday and what sprung this, because Keegan in the call was responding to one of the guys, the body composition guy, and he started talking about how you need to avoid long range stuff for people with high inflammation, overweight individuals. So a good way to get them moving is sled pushes. And because we'd already been talking about carries, and I was saying, I think there's something here with the carries, and carries. And that's when I went, I gotta go. I messaged Keegan, I said, I gotta go. I'll message you back later, because so Ben responded directly to Nick about this client he's working with and said a basic session could be sled pushes, squats to a target, and back extensions. It's a lower body focus session. So for the upper body for these kids, you could do weighted carries forward and back. So 5 meters out, 5 meters backwards. Say walk 5 meters, stop, pause for 2 to 3 seconds. So they got the deceleration and ability to maintain position. Then walk backwards, stop, 2 to 3 seconds. Do that 3 times. Then they go into a push-up plank position, or a forearm plank, or a side plank variation. So isometric maintaining in the horizontal plane. And then you give them band, and they do banded pull aparts. You do like 3 or 4 rounds of that, like, tying in with what you were just like, that's going to do wonders for them. It's going to do wonders for them. It could be the challenge of going like weighted carry, but not as many, like for a distance straight into hanging, and then the side plank. Just thinking about like really basic, rudimentary, but like reinforcing that again, like big bang for your buck. So I was thinking, Nick, when I was reading his reply, get her doing some carries, like see how much she complains after that. If she's still complaining, it might be worthwhile considering like the value of this client for you. Like, I know we want to change the world, but sometimes like you can lead a horse to water, but they don't want to drink the Kool-Aid, like.
Yeah. And I used Ben's advice, and it definitely helped. We did back extensions, and I was honestly surprised that she enjoyed the back extensions. We were able to get into, I didn't, because it puts a lot of pressure on that belly right there, that lower hip. And but we were able to, we tried RDLs right before that, and she just could not because of that huge anterior pelvic tilt. And we were able to get those hamstrings and the glutes really involved in that, back extensions, and it was great. And then even the elevated heel squats with like a TRX holding her up. She loved those. She hates backwards walking on the treadmill with it turned off, but I mean, she'll survive.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can give people that don't have it, Tim, is patterns. So if we think push, pull, squat, hinge, lunge, and then carry. So if you did that circuit where you had them carry, then you had them doing a push-up position plank or a side plank or a forearm plank, like you got the carry, you got the push, and then the pull, because of like the nature, it is the puller parts, or it could be the hang, or it might be like the lying on the ground doing a nice big T hold, or it could be like Y hold, W hold, T hold on the ground. Like 3 rounds of that, you're giving them really good patterns that are going to serve them for life, and then you're giving them a strong foundation. So I think to round out my thought process is like, take it back to the basics of what are the foundational movement patterns. Ben's given you a good system for the lower body. What can you do in simple terms that meets the demands of a horizontal or vertical push, horizontal or vertical pull, and a carry? And then you've got your upper body formula, which rounds out what I should be doing in simple terms with the upper body formula for for us. Like, yeah,
I love those.
you'll be your like, when that thing breaks, like that's the Dan John systematic education thing. Because if you give them a strong carry, then when you go to teach them how to hinge, like deadlift, or like, they already have this, like the ability to engage and maintain that position around their spine, you know, like, and you've got enough with it. A farmer's walk forward and back, a farmer's walk for distance, a one-sided carry. You might want to get them to like hug a sandbag, you know, like I think for BJJ athletes, like the bear hug, like that cobra strength, the anaconda, like get them to even like their school bag, like, you know, like some odd object thing. Like don't stick to the like equipment thing, like just, or even like a Zerka carry, like that makes it fun too. Then they're gonna like play, you know what I mean? And then they like your filler thing could be like tag, you know, like in the boxing sense, it's like knee tag or shoulder tag. And if you get tagged, you like drop down, do one burpee, you know, or like or do one like, cool, we're gonna do a round of this, and then everyone's gonna partner up, and then you're gonna do knee tag, you know, this round, and then the next round is like shoulder tag, and then the third round is like knee tag and shoulder tag, because it's the Adam Innes thing. That's rather than board games, you're just getting them to like play. Like don't forget that element, because it's the variance piece. I don't know. I'm just having little light bulbs going off here. I think that was all some good content for you too. So.
I love those ideas.
Yeah, I like the idea of tag, especially for wrestlers, because you're like forcing them to kind of sprawl that leg back. And yeah, that just sounds like a great idea, making it fun, you know?
Foot tag is a big warm-up game that coaches love to use. And yeah, it's, I mean, even I remember in high school, like when they would say, oh, we're warming up with like foot tag, like everyone's like, oh, thank God. Like it's so much more enjoyable rather than just going through like the usual basics of like a 30-minute jog or whatever they would have us do. So yeah, I love those ideas, Devin.
What about like go buy 20 tennis balls, which is going to cost you a few bucks, and get them to do like 10 left-hand throws to one another, and 10, because that's catch balance, like how Ben talks about like jump balance, like just that's 2 ideas, you know, like, and it could be bounce passes, it could be throws, it could be left hand to right hand to left, like you're training the eyes, you're training like the hand ability. Like, you want to talk about hand ability? Catch a ball with your left hand, see how you go with that. You know, another foot ability thing could be like get a thick rope, like tug of war rope, lay it down in the gym, and get them to walk along it like a balance beam. Walk along it forward, walk along it sideways. Like, these are just ideas that are just come yeah, coming to me right now. So have fun.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
It's good, guys.
This is a good call. It's a fucking solid group.
It's all
Yeah.
good. Fucking awesome.
It's awesome. Man,
It's
Buzz
like this every time, Luke. It's like this every time, man.
keeps getting better too.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, so glad you joined.
thanks for joining, man. Too really, it's always valued having new people in. I know Tim joined last week. Now, like you've joined this week, so yeah, it's really valued, and you've definitely contributed a lot of value to the call today. So yeah, I think from each and every one of us, really appreciate your time today, Luke.
Oh, thank you guys, man. It's great to be here with the group. Awesome.
Mhm.
Just had another thought on handability. You know, if you've got some gardening to do, go and pluck some weeds. See how long your hands last. I'm looking out here at the weather, thinking about that veggie garden. I should tackle it, you know.
Good luck with that.
Garden zero ability. Yeah, get you back in the garden. Get you back in the garden pain free. That's great. I guess any closing stuff, but we always like to finish off the call with like, what's one thing that you're gonna focus on for this week? So I guess like we can sort of do that, unless anyone else has anything to add to the call today. So I guess like moving forward, like something that I'm really going to be applying, and something that I've definitely got off the call today. I'm going to keep working on this, the upper body zero program. I'm going to do this on at least 4 times next week, and continue writing, do my 15 minutes of writing every single day. It's definitely getting easier. And I've realized that I can create more content and more like almost like an email marketing now, just because of this daily 15 minutes of writing. I'm like, oh shit, like I can literally start creating some decent funnels now and give real good value to people by simply just having a 15-minute little habit every morning, is just write my ideas and thoughts about training and stuff like that. So yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to keep doing moving forward, and build up jiu-jitsu again. Today was 2 times this week from a couple months off, and you're going to get back into it for next week, and we'll probably build up to 5 times. Felt pretty good, and then eventually we start doing twice a day again. So yeah, that's my plan moving forward. So what's where everyone else's plan coming from this call?
For myself personally, I'm just gonna continue working on this ankle, getting it back to 100%, being patient, and then just kind of work with all these ideas that Devin presented today. I love the ideas, because I really do think like it just reminds me, like, because I'm re-going through like everything, like with Ben, like with the ankle, and like when Devin was talking about like the wrist, like it's like the same concept, like whatever your wrist can't handle, then your elbow can't handle, and your shoulder. And with grappling sports, like whether it's you posting on the mat or whatever, or posting on your opponent, like you just keep doing those reps over and over, like those will add up. And so yeah, just work with these ideas each day, just try to just come up with something. So I think that's my plan.
For me, so my plan is to batch more content for social media for sure, come up with a written plan on what we're actually going to do, and then document my life, like you was saying. And the other thing is use the principles of my training, like doing the opposite of what you're doing the most. Focus on that and use that for my training this week.
Nice. Last week I said I was gonna go for a walk every morning, which I did this past week. I'm gonna keep doing that, and this week I'm gonna do some more shoulder hanging. It looks like. Simple as
True.
that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Bar hangs.
7 minutes a day.
Let's see.
And I think I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm just going to keep it simple. I want to try to focus on 2 things this week. I want to get into some advanced zero and focus on hanging as well.
Nice. I
think
love
that's something
to
to-
bounce ideas off that, dude, because I'm doing the advanced. I just started doing this week 1. I've just finished week 1 advanced zero.
I'm going to be heading into week 1 from tomorrow, so it'll be great to
Yeah, dude,
you know,
that'd be great.
yeah.
For sure. We'll keep connected on the IG for sure. Nice.
I think my 10 minutes right now is actually each day I'm looking at crypto. We've got a bit of money in crypto, and I'm in lockdown, and I've had a good little. I've had like a 33% return while in crypto. So although I need to like be doing my this upper body focus thing, I think it's relieving some anxiety to be having some wealth growth in another area. So I think that's my 10 minutes. I think that's where my 10 minutes is spent well. And just yesterday I did that, I applied that and got some good return straight away. So I think that's the thing that is top of the list, because it just gives me that if I get if shit really goes pear-shaped, but I got that fallback option.
It's a great idea, bro.
It's a great idea, man. Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Because you can spend hours on it. You can spend hours on it and worrying about it and learning about it. But if you spend that daily 10, 15 minutes of the day, fuck, like that, getting compounds over time.
And I think that might have a little look at this NFT craze that's going on, but you know, and just have a look at that. But the crypto thing, yeah, I think just 10 minutes there, like I said, like with the reduction in earnings I'm having because we're in this lockdown, it's just going to alleviate some of that like stress or anxiety to see that I'm getting, even if I just get a little bit of growth each day, it just offsets that worry, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure one day, well, even next week, maybe we can talk about finances stuff. Being a black belt in financial health.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Yeah, dudes. Oh fuck yeah, we're always white belts, hey. Yeah, maybe hey, like that's something we can definitely talk about next week for sure.
Just on that point, like we've said it in here, like the value system of a BJJ.
Froze up a little bit.